everyone, and welcome. So if you've spent, any time at all in fitness circles lately or just scrolled through social media, you've absolutely seen the massive hype around barefoot training. People are literally tossing their expensive sneakers aside, claiming that working out completely barefoot unlocks this primal, untapped athletic potential. But look, hype is one thing, right? Peer-reviewed science is a whole different ballgame. Today, in this explainer, we're going to strip away the fads and look at exactly what happens to our feet when we ditch the shoes. We're breaking down a fascinating recent study that put this exact debate to the ultimate test.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the barefoot training question, move into the ultimate shoe showdown, look at how to measure foot fitness, reveal the surprising results, and finally, ask, should you actually ditch your shoes?
Part 1. The barefoot training question and why we actually care about foot strength. It all boils down to this million-dollar question. Does barefoot training actually build stronger feet compared to doing the exact same exercises wearing shoes? For the longest time, we really only had clues. But researchers Koyama and Hosono, they wanted hard numbers, and they set out to definitively answer this exact query in their brand new 2026 study. And they wanted those numbers because, honestly, weak feet aren't just some minor athletic inconvenience. They are a huge source of everyday pain. Think about it. A lack of structural foot strength is heavily associated with some seriously painful stuff. We're talking flat foot, the absolute misery of plantar fasciitis, and even a heightened risk of developing bunions, or, hallux valgus if we're being technical. The health of your foot muscles quite literally dictates your quality of life.
So, the crucial point is toe flexor strength. If you really want to know how strong a foot is, this is what you measure. It's essentially the ability of your intrinsic foot muscles to grip the floor and push off with force. As we go through this explainer, you'll see that toe flexor strength is the absolute ultimate prize in this showdown. It acts as the primary indicator for how well your feet can structurally support your body weight and propel you through the world.
Moving on to Part 2, the ultimate shoe showdown, and how they set up this 8-week experiment. To get a perfectly fair head-to-head fight, the researchers recruited healthy adults who normally wear shoes every day. They divided them up into distinct groups. Our two main contenders? First, the Bare group, who performed a rigorous multi-component exercise routine completely barefoot. Then, the Shod group. They performed the exact same exercises for the exact same amount of time, but wearing standard athletic shoes. Oh, and I should probably mention, there was also a 15-person control group who just did absolutely no training at all, just to establish a baseline.
Now, this was not some quick overnight test. It was a grueling 8-week protocol. The researchers took extremely precise measurements at strict weekly intervals. So they started at 0 weeks for the baseline, and then tested everybody again at weeks 2, 4, 6, and 8. This super tight timeline let the scientists meticulously track exactly when and how the foot adaptations were actually happening over time.
Part 3. Measuring foot fitness and how the researchers tested the athletes.
Straight from the lab, the protocol looked exactly like this. Twice a week, for 60 minutes a session, participants sweat through 3 intense phases of exercise. And the routine brilliantly illustrates a total lower body burnout. First, 20 minutes of dynamic agility exercises using ladders and mini hurdles. Next, 10 minutes of tricky balance work on an unstable balance ball. And finally, 20 minutes of heavy compound strength exercises, stuff like squats and lunges. It was a seriously comprehensive lower limb workout.
To see what all that jumping, balancing, and squatting actually accomplished, the researchers tracked 3 very specific key metrics. First up, toe flexor strength, which, like we said, is the holy grail of foot fitness. Second was foot arch height, to see if the physical, architectural structure of the foot actually changed. And third, foot sensory threshold, basically testing the nerve sensitivity on the bottom of the foot.
Part 4. The surprising results and what the data actually revealed.
Okay, get ready because here is the twist. Despite 8 whole weeks of intense 60-minute workouts twice a week, the foot arch height and the sensory threshold showed absolutely 0 significant changes in either group. The structural arch of the foot and the nerve sensitivity just barely budged. So all that hard work and 2 of the 3 main metrics completely flatlined.
Crazy, right?
But the real story lies in that final metric, toe flexor strength. Now, what's really interesting about this data is that both the Barefoot group and the Shod group actually successfully gained toe flexor strength
compared to the control group. But if you look closely at the progress at weeks 6 and 8, you see the barefoot group separating and climbing way higher over time. They literally start pulling away from the shoe-wearing group.
And guys, that is exactly where the barefoot advantage mathematically reveals itself. The data clearly showed that the barefoot group experienced progressive, continued strength gains. I mean, their standing toe flexor strength was significantly greater at week 6 than at week 4, and then even greater at week 8. The shod group, well, they kind of plateaued early on, only showing a significant jump right at the very end of week 8 compared to week 2. So the scientific verdict is in. While both methods absolutely work to build strength, ditching your shoes provides a sustained, progressive edge for your foot muscles.
Part 5. Should you ditch shoes? Let's move to and see how this builds into practical applications from the lab. Because the ultimate payoff of all this research is perfectly summed up by a quote from the study's authors themselves. They wrote, "Individuals with greater toe flexor strength tend to exhibit superior lower limb dynamic performance." Think about that. We aren't just building toe strength that, win a barefoot contest. We're doing it to run faster, jump higher, balance better, and just become way more capable dynamic athletes across the board. Stronger toes literally mean a stronger foundation for everything you do.
But hold on a second. Before you go throwing your expensive sneakers in the trash, the researchers issued a really crucial safety warning. Look, as modern humans, we wear shoes all day, every day. Our feet are just not used to being completely naked under heavy loads. If you immediately jump into high-intensity barefoot training, you are practically begging for a severe injury. The study emphasizes 2 really critical steps here. First, avoid excessive and abrupt loading on the foot. And second, implement barefoot training gradually into your routine. Start slow, maybe just during your warm-ups, and build it up over time.
The science definitely shows that if you do it safely and you're patient, freeing your feet can progressively unlock levels of structural strength that your shoes might just be holding back. So I'll leave you with this question. Knowing what the data proves about continued improvement, will you gradually incorporate barefoot training into your own routine? Or are your shoes staying firmly on your feet? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.